Welcome to Free Mind's first virtual session. We're pretty excited to be partnering with Nairobi Design Week on this month's topic, the collective creative consciousness, with the theme of togetherness. There has been a fusion of creativity, collaboration, and I hope that today we'll be able to dig deep onto the conversations towards that topic. A little bit about our icebreaker today. We are going to be partnering with Verbal Connections, a card game geared towards diving deep into different topics, whether it's your intimacy, deal breakers, relationships, and just those questions you want to ask somebody that you're dating, or you want to break the ice.
Yeah, get yours, yeah, no matter the cost. Top boss, I'm a floss out, yes, of course. Falsehood to the dollar, cash rules everything around us. Dollar, dollar, baby, world so crazy.
Our panelists for today, and we're also going to do a bit of an icebreaker with our partner Verbal Connections. So these people are going to introduce themselves and we're going to get into the game a little bit. So on to my right hand side we have
Jeff, founder and owner of APAT Studios. It's a build design studio here in Nairobi. We do all sorts of production work and live events.
Okay.
To be here.
Thank you. And on to my left hand side. Is it my left?
Yes. Hi, my name is Rosemary Wangare. I'm a fashion and textile designer. I'm also a baker, an artist, and I do makeup sometimes.
Boom. I'm Blocker Beats. I'm a producer, DJ, sound engineer, rapper. I as well have my own agri-business where we focus on organic farming and an entrepreneur as well.
Amazing. So these are the panelists, catalysts for today, who are going to be going through some of these interesting questions that I have for them. And I'm going to kind of give you this one, read it out, and we're going to sort of answer, give our own thoughts on it.
All right.
Okay.
So the card I have is it more important to be tactful or truthful?
Okay. So, Rosemary, we're putting you on the spot here.
You're putting me on the spot.
Yes.
Personally, am I supposed to say it like in general or personally?
I think this is just a question towards you as a person and just getting to know each other. Yeah.
Personally, I'm more tactful than truthful. So the way I deliver things, I don't always have to be truthful 100%, but very tactful in anything that I'm saying or doing. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Anna?
I would say I'm both, but I think I'd lean more to the truth side. I think it's just, I always like to have honesty and just straight up.
Your moral compass
yeah,
is
exactly.
like intact.
Yeah, so I can judge and then now be, tactful, but yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
I'd like to think I'm more tactful, but honestly, I'm probably more truthful. It's just easier to say what's on your mind. There's less thinking involved, and it's better for the other person to know. Sometimes if they get offended, they get offended. What can you
True.
do?
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's
It is what
interesting.
it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
I think we're getting more, but I think for me personally, I'm truthful because I cannot. I don't know. Filtering things in my mind is not a common trait I have. If you know me, just like verbal diarrhea sometimes, and it's sometimes it can be a bit too much for people to handle. So I think that's probably on that side. So I'm gonna read this one. How do you define freedom? I think freedom for me is like what will entail like me being able to feel comfortable, but at the same time having the will to make decisions on my own without feeling the need of there's obviously the questions of asking somebody else how they would feel, but I don't know, freedom to me feels being able to have the liberty to make decision making on my own. Like we're just talking only decision making, guys.
Okay.
I know freedom could be on a scale. Yeah. How about you, Rosemary? Like how would you define freedom?
Well, when it comes to decision making, right? I think it's the ability to 100% be my true self with no regrets. Actually, just that, being myself with no regrets. When I'm making a decision, I'm like, is this what I want? 100% with no regrets.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. How about you, Anna?
I would say freedom freedom of opportunity. I think also when it comes to deciding, I think if everyone, regardless of your class, race, ethnicity, if you all have the freedom to have that same opportunity and to have that same decision making, I think that is the goal of having the freedom to decide to choose.
If you had the power to do so, what would you change about today's society?
Good question. I love this. All right, you go first. Actually,
No, I won't go first. I read it.
well, I think the power to change in terms of society. Society has a lot of things, but one thing I would want society to be able to change is the act of that whole, I don't know what word I can use, but coercing a lot of us as young people towards certain preconceived notions that are unnecessary. I feel like that energy sometimes is so off-putting for a lot of us. As a creative, we seem to be in a tangent of we must do X, Y, Z, and if you're not, then there's society looking at you like, damn, you're a failure, yet you're not. So I think that's one of the things that will change about society. What about you, Jim?
I think one of the main issues with society today is that everything runs off of greed. Everyone's just kind of out to take care of themselves. You step on the next guy to get a leg up. And so I think that's one of the biggest issues, because if we all kind of come together and try and, help each other out, or, as you're trying to make money and make your living, Oh man, I lost the point. But either way, long story short, let's stop hoarding wealth at the top 1% and let's see how we can divide it equally amongst 99. And then, we solve a lot of the issues that are ailing us today. Yeah, I think that's my one thing.
Yeah, and I was going to add something similar. I was going to say corruption. I think, there's a lot of, just money lost within the system that can help, even going back to your point of the youth, that can come back to us and really help support different institutions, people, marginalized or disadvantaged people within the economy and the country. And I think, if we had more proper structured, systems in place that gave accountability and opportunity to people, a lot would change.
I like that. And wrapping us up.
Okay, I'd say cancel culture to a limit, because nowadays it's getting really insane. People will look for tweets that you had 10 years ago. I do believe people change and perspectives change. So I think it's toxic right now. Yeah.
Oh my, you've actually said something very important, but we're gonna sort of come back into that in a bit. This wraps up our icebreaker, so we can go. Thank you so much, Verbal Connections, for this. So we're now part 2 of our session, which is what we're going to be talking about: collective creative consciousness, the 3 C's of today. And this is tying in with what we're doing with togetherness. And I think a lot of why it was so important, and all of you guys sitting right here, is so vital towards this conversation. Anam, I want you to start this off, because something that you experienced over last year was collaboration, deeply sharing resources. And given the limitations of the pandemic, how did you find yourself opening up towards collaborating and reaching out with other people?
I think for myself personally, I've always been a collaborative person. I always find when I'm working in a team and with others, the end output, the end product that we produce is much better than if it would just be me, or just more fuller and more inclusive of different ideas, different backgrounds, different perspectives. And I think now in the last year with the COVID and everything in quarantine, it really gave us that space to really dive deeper into that collaboration and see how we can really create something special. And in my case, it was Nairobi Year 2, where I was bringing different producers, different artists, different graphic designers all together in the same space and just coming out with cool ass ideas.
Yeah, because going also into, for you, Rosemary, you're a fashion designer, baker, artist, and there's ways in which do you feel, how did you feel in that space of quarantine, how are you feeling everything was coming together for you?
In the fashion industry, I didn't really even get to collaborate a lot like last year, because I wouldn't even get people to model for me when COVID was COVID. But a lot of creatives really did share each other's work, like past work. And another thing that opened my mind to, during the pandemic, people really leaned to the tech side. So virtual reality fashion is a new thing that's coming up. So that will really help with slow fashion, because we don't need to produce everything that's going to be on the runway. If you can digitalize it, that's amazing. So that's a new thing that I really want to look into and even bring it here. Yeah, mostly that.
I know, because for you, Jeff, I think this would be super interesting to like dive into. We were thinking about ways, we were thinking of like the two different collaborations, and you have a space whereby it can intertwine towards like us having people in your space, and I want you to like dive into that, like how you've been able, especially last year and this year, towards getting yourself out again, towards opening up with other people.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the last year was definitely a challenge, because I think when the whole COVID thing started, we were actually even wrapping up last year's, NDW festival. So right after that, it was really tricky, because, all the, everyone who's DJing or anything like that, all of that dried up. And so everyone kind of had to go back to the drawing board and figure things out. So it was really good, because then I got to reach out and reconnect with a lot of people, who are trying to figure out, okay, how do we do things virtually? How do we do things in this new way? And it was really good, and a lot came out of that, because with the space I have, what I try and do is try and connect creatives together. So it's not really just looking at myself and, okay, how can I take advantage of all these people? It's more like, okay, all these people are here, they probably should meet, they probably should start talking, and then something can come out of that. So it was kind of switching over to that the whole COVID thing, the whole pandemic really helped. Everyone kind of hit the brakes on what they were doing, and then kind of sort out each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of good stuff came out of it.
Okay, so we've talked about like the positive. Like, of course, collaboration is great, but I've always wanted to know, where do you draw the line whereby you're feeling that how you're about to approach somebody else, and also for you as an artist, it comes with a bit of like give and take. So maybe like Anam, for you had a lot of people on your album. Where did you feel there was a bit of like, okay, I have to give up a bit for me to...
For sure, and this is something, my mom has always been telling me since a youngin', too many chefs spoil the meal. Huh?
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to collaboration, there also has to be a clear distinction between roles. Everyone can't be doing the same thing, or trying to come up with the same concept. It's really about, what are you good at, what are you specializing in, okay, what's my role within this project, how can I contribute my part for this certain output and not really stepping on anybody's toes. And I think if you can create that structure within the project, or you as yourself as an individual know where you can come in and really put your expertise, then you wouldn't really step on toes. But this is a learning process for everyone, and I think I've been in that position before, these guys as well, and you just have to be with the right people who can see where they can fit into this certain project.
Right. Yeah. Is there, like, would you say that has been the same for you? Like, there was a bit of a give or take towards like certain projects you embarked on? Like you...
Yeah, there's a really fine line when it comes to professionalism and having good vibes. So sometimes you can find the people you're working with might not be as professional as you want them to be on set when you're working, especially if you're friends. Another thing is, as you said, people have to get their own roles. So I can't be telling the camera guy how to do his job, or the set designer how to do their job. Everyone should be like having their own roles when you're collaborating, and it's something that should be stated before you decide to collaborate.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I was just, I was thinking about this because oh, this one's going to really kill me. In the back of your mind, there's always that way of being being aware that everybody that you put on this project is important, but at the same time, I know there are things that at the end of it all, we'll have to give. Like there's a bit of a sweet compromise, as we like to say, towards like getting these projects off the road. And I don't know, I was just thinking about it because I had this, in terms of uniting several people with the aim of their strengths to be amplified. But at the end of the day, I don't know, maybe for you, Jeff, you've worked with your set a lot. How do you feel you're able to ensure everybody's, like almost the strengths gather up, you must say?
I guess a lot of it is, kind of, it's really important to build the right team from the get-go, because by the time you have a project and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I have 5 guys who would make a good team to get this project done, you also have to kind of look at them individually. Like, guy number 2 has a humongous ego. He's not going to be able to work with everyone. Then, it's something you have to consider, and it's everywhere from, be it like musical projects, something more professional, like like just basic production work and all of that. It's just about putting the right people together, but at the same time always being able to kind of have people talk to each other and kind of in a very open and frank way, because there's a lot of, in as much as guys don't step on each other's toes, we have a bit of a culture of not wanting to necessarily always want to confront someone.
Right.
Sometimes maybe that's necessary to kind of break down, like someone has walls up or someone has an ego, someone kind of wants to come in and take over the project, and you have to kind of remind them that
Egos are playing into, are coming to play.
you kind of have to kill your own ego as well, getting into something. And I mean, like for me, I work more on professional stuff, but I got my start in music production.
Right.
And that killed a lot of collaboration in the early days. A lot of people wanted to collaborate, but then again, no egos were getting kept at the door. So you walk into someone's thing and he's like, yeah, this is my project, it's going to go this way. And then the next time you go over and he's going to do the same thing to you. It's like, yeah, no. The same way you shot me, even me. Like, yeah, this is my project, it's my red hat. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things, guys have to kind of remember. Give yourself to the process and hold the project above all else. Yeah.
Above all else.
Yeah.
And I like that, because now I can build onto understanding whether there's been a bit of a fusion, like an invisible line that holds us together, and I feel like has that changed how we connect, and is that like, and how do we tap into this? Because given that we were sort of in self-isolation, where was the point of, okay, I can go out and subconsciously be able to connect with other people? Do you feel, maybe Rosemary, because you're also into baking, and I feel like this is something interesting, that how do you go into, okay, where do I go to, where's my target market, who can I connect with, and stuff like that?
See, for baking, it's more like the business side than the creative side. So, but with the creative thing, during this pandemic, we really had to engage ourselves in the internet. So I discovered like new things I actually have interest in, especially when people, like that time everyone was sharing everyone's work, everyone's doing something new. Like we had to do other things that we didn't used to do, like because life got in the way. But so yeah, like through that, I was more drawn to like collaborate with other people, like illustrators or like people in tech, like in fashion. Like the limits were expounded. Yes, they were limitless. Yeah.
We have okay, that's amazing. You said the internet, right?
Yeah.
We sometimes you feel like it works against us as creatives, because we are supposed to be in our minds expanding towards like what we have in front of us, but we get drawn, and we get drawn by so many things that almost a pressure for feeling like, okay, guys are doing this, so I must be doing this. And maybe you guys tell me, because I also feel heavily drawn by the internet at sometimes, almost to the point of mental breaks, almost. Yeah.
So I feel like yes, there is the pressure. There's a lot of pressure, especially right now. Everyone is doing amazing stuff, from people who are even 16 to people who are older. Everyone is doing really amazing stuff, and the internet is really powerful. but it's up to you to take it as either inspiration, because it can get overwhelming. You can be like, what am I actually doing? If you start, the thing is, if you start comparing artists, that's where you go downhill. Just know individualism is where it's at. Be your own self. Take your time to know what you like. Explore, experiment on, like the borders are limitless. Take your time to know what you want, what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, don't be it's all fun and games to say don't be pressurized, but the pressure is definitely there.
And do you feel like this comes from self? Also, there's sort of like what we like to say, the imposter syndrome kicking in, whereby you don't feel. I mean, Anna, you created an app. We're going to go back into different pots here, because we have a melting pot of creativity sitting right here. But did you feel at any one point you are like, am I really capable of doing this?
For sure, there's many stages where you reach that, where you're like, should I even be doing this album? Should I be releasing this album?
Who am I?
Yeah, to stages where it's like, oh, this is the best album, let's get it out here. So I think you always go up this roller coaster of emotions and just feelings. But I think, especially going back to the internet and feeling this pressure, it's more about having this balance. You have to have a balance of your life, having a balance whether you're looking at it, okay, on the internet, in reality, yes, I'm feeling bad about myself or I'm not confident, but other times I am, and I think just taking those in and reflecting from them is what can make you, in a general sense now, produce something that will matter and that you can really
look
strive.
back on and be happy that, I put that best work out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you work with, you said, professional corporate work. Has that ever have you ever felt that? Like you're just on set and like, who am I?
I mean, like almost every time, because I think it's just one of those things of, you want to make something that's really good, and and it's just all about growth. But actually, I think he really hit the nail on the head. It really comes from these feelings of self-doubt, self-confidence. So whenever you see someone else doing something really, really amazing on the internet and putting out something really good, your first thought is, when you feel bad, it's like, oh man, am I actually that good? Or am I actually capable of that? Then the imposter syndrome kicks in. And it leads to a lot of hating on the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think, but then again, it's good because when you see the level people are at, and it drives you to do better, to
For
think
yourself,
about.
mostly.
Yeah, because it's about you. This is not about them. It's not about how other people are going to take it. It's about you and your journey.
Yeah.
So, and it's your chance to grow. So when you feel bad, double down. Spend more time in the studio if that's your place. Spend more time in front of the mirror if you do makeup, in the kitchen, if you bake, all of that, and just kind of lose yourself in the process. So by the time putting something out and you're proud of it, then I think that's the best thing. I think that's the best way to understand you.
I love that. Oh my
Yeah.
God, because at the end of the day, this thing will continuously be in a battle with ourselves, but continuously be in an unfortunate, unhealthy relationship or healthy relationship with the internet, because it's here to stay. We are going so digital with everything. But I want to wrap this up by something that's super important that I feel has been sort of arcing us as free minds, but also just as a society as a whole in the creative space. Collectives, right? You guys know them. We've had the Nest, we have this. I think it's like, we know in a collective we are working towards a common goal, right? But how do you feel you as an individual hypothetically would contribute to such a space and still have your own individual mindset? So I just want to maybe get your thoughts on this, like in terms of like working in a collective and also just how you stay, like we said.
Oh,
I'm looking at you, Rosemary.
I think collectives are a great way to grow, because you'll just grow together. Growing as a community is pretty much not easier, but it's kind of better because you have people to push you, to motivate you, you have the same common goals.
Togetherness.
Yeah, you have the togetherness, exactly. Even if one of you feels bad or the imposter syndrome is kicking in, like there's someone who's going to be there to help you. But as much as the collectives are great, individualism is also pretty good. You're supposed to have your own goals, like me as Rosemary, what do I want to achieve for myself? What impact will I have in the fashion industry? What impact do I want to have by the time I'm this age? Or what do I want? You know, as much as we are a group of people with the same common goal, I need to know what do I want for myself and for the better of others.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like it takes there's a bit of a higher power in a collective? Like say, I don't know.
Like a hierarchy.
like this. You know how like yes, as creatives we are here, but there's almost an invisible power of like, but we are a collective. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, when I look at collectives, I think it's more about the roles that you can't do. I think a collective comes in, and let's say, you know, we could say we are a collective. Now, I know he has a studio, so if I ever need a studio, I'm there, you know. If he has a party and he needs a DJ or he needs someone to sound engineer, I can be there. And it kind of now relieves those pressures that we put on ourselves of trying to do everything as an individual.
Yeah.
I think, being an individual and standing out is still important, and it still has to be there. But end of the day, you can't do everything by yourself.
Yeah.
So really having this collective and having the people there to be supportive and just being able to provide and offer you other aspects that can make your individual contribution bigger, you know, that's really
have it.
the end goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Yeah.
And yes, I think. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. I just want to thank our amazing catalysts, Anam, Rosemary, and Jeff, to Nairobi Design Week, Orion Studios, and finally, Verbal Connections. As always, thank you so much. Stay free-minded.
So much game you can lace. Hauni party, no trace. Hauni where's no stress. OCP made don't test. I know your move, no flex. Nairobi, yeah, to NY. Nairobi, yeah, to